Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Lee and I'm the author of a few books for young adults, the most recent being the Cozy Contemporary Fantasy Song of the Dryad. Today I am filming my 10K Q&A and I hit 10,000 subscribers I think on the third day of NaNoWriMo, day 3 of NaNoWriMo, November 3rd, I hit 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube and I wanted to celebrate with a 10K Q&A. I received so many questions and you guys know that I am incredibly long-winded. I can talk for an hour easily on a YouTube video. So I'm going to try to answer all of them by shortening up my responses a little bit so that you're not sitting here for 55 minutes listening to me answering questions. Okay, so first question comes from my good friend Brooke Passmore. Her question is, what would you want your author life to look like 5 years from now? I could probably launch into an hour-long discussion just on my 5-year goals and plans, but essentially in 5 years, I would like to be making a full-time income between selling my books, being on YouTube, and editing for clients. I really want to expand Enchanted Ink Publishing over the next few years. It would be amazing to start, to hire on a professional book cover designer so that we can start offering covers and maybe start publishing people's books. So yeah, in 5 years, I want to be fully making my income on YouTube income. We'll talk about that in another question. On YouTube, selling my books, and editing for clients. Wow, I answered that question real fast. Hopefully I'll be able to get through all of these quickly. Let's see, next Q&A, and a few people asked this question. So Michelle Gee asks, I've been following you for a while, but maybe not long enough to know, what are the plans for the van? So if you guys didn't know already, Greg and I are building out a Sprinter van, and we are so excited about it. We have wanted a van for a very long time, and we actually got one beginning of last year, 1 or 2 years ago, and it was a total rust bucket. We did a little bit of camping in it and then essentially realized that it needed so much work that it wasn't really going to be worth it. But we got a Sprinter this year, a brand new platform to start on, and our plan is to completely build it out so that we can either travel for long periods of time, because we do have 2 cats, Mew and Tifa, and we do not want to leave them at home while traveling. We want them to be with us at all times. They feel like children to us. They are part of the family. So the van's purpose is to be like a travel vehicle, vacation vehicle. And then Greg and I are also interested in potentially trying van life and living out of the Sprinter van. I would really like to buy property, and especially if market prices kind of drop here in the next couple of years, I'd like to buy a big piece of property, probably a very rural property. And if we have the van built out, then we could park our van on our property for periods of time as well. So that's kind of where we're going. We're going in that direction. Greg has filmed a few van videos, like van remodel videos, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with all the footage. I don't know if we should start like a brand new channel to put that on, because it doesn't really fit on this channel. Granted, I know that I've had quite a lot of interest in the van, what we're doing to it. So let me know if you guys are interested in seeing more van content, maybe just like within my vlogs and stuff, because we are about to install the beautiful hardwood floor. We're about to install the ceiling and the walls. So it's coming along. Granted, it is winter here, and Greg has a new job, so it's kind of slowed down, but we're chipping away at it slowly. So thank you for that question, Michelle. And let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing more vanning content. I know that once the van is built and we're using it, you will definitely be seeing van life writing vlogs. So I'm very excited for those. Now, this is a really good question. Locked Up Lucy says, asks, how much are you getting for YouTube at 10K? Like, how much am I getting paid? Is it worth putting the effort into making and editing videos? Does your boyfriend help you with your YouTube channel, or do you do it alone? And how many hours a week do you dedicate to creating videos? So let's start off with how much I make on YouTube. I've been doing this for, what, like 4 years now? I can't even remember, probably about 4 years, and I'm at 10,000 subscribers. And guys, if you want to start a YouTube channel to make money, AuthorTube is not the place for that. I've been doing this 4 years, and November, just last month, was my biggest month on YouTube in terms of revenue. I made almost $300 in a full freaking month, posting almost every single day. So it is not sustainable at all, I don't think. I certainly enjoy the additional money. You know, $300 for last month is awesome. I have to get some cavities filled, so it'll pay for the cavities that I need to get filled in my teeth. But on like a regular month, I am averaging somewhere around like $80. $80 after 4 years and 10,000 subscribers. Now, this month, December, is my first month, you know, kind of leveling back out after NaNoWriMo, because October and November are my biggest months of the year, because that's when everybody is prepping and planning for Nano. So I don't know where I'll be sitting in terms of like average revenue, but let me tell you, it dips fast if you stop filming videos. Like my revenue just starts to crash. Like right now, sometimes if I'm not posting, like let's just say it's a regular day, I make like $2 a day. So if you want to get into AuthorTube for money, like from YouTube, don't even waste your time on it. If you want to get into AuthorTube to make friends and join the community, it is absolutely worth it, but it's not worth it if you just want to make money. Next question, does your boyfriend help with your YouTube channel, or do you do it alone? I do it alone. He did help me when my wrists were hurt. He helped me edit a video and make a thumbnail and stuff, but I do my entire YouTube on my own. And then how many hours a week do you dedicate to creating videos? It depends, because I do pet sitting. Some weeks I have more time on my hands, and some weeks I have like no time on my hands. But honestly, not that much. Like today, I'll probably spend an hour filming and then an hour or 2 hours editing the video, and let's just say an hour making a thumbnail and posting. So let's say 4 hours this week, I'll probably spend just to get this one video up, but it varies from week to week. Really good question. All right, Caitlin Duncan asks, what is one thing that you've noticed that you do differently, or something that has changed in your writing methods or career since you started your channel? Everything. Starting my YouTube channel and becoming a member of this community really allowed me to take myself seriously for the first time, and now everything is different, because I don't just feel like I'm writing books by myself that nobody will read. I feel like I'm writing books, I'm sharing my experience, I hold myself to a higher standard when it comes to the quality of the story, the quality of the book itself, the formatting, the cover, everything. So by having this YouTube channel and having you guys here supporting me and cheering me on, you guys are helping to hold me to a higher standard. And I think just social media in general, and especially the AuthorTube community, we kind of push each other to produce the best books we can, the best stories we can. And I think that's really positive. There can be really positive competition and really negative competition, and maybe competition isn't the best word there, but in terms of like pushing each other to a higher and higher standard, I think that's really good within our community. And that is certainly what AuthorTube has done for me, because if you look at Way of Spears and then you look at Song of the Dryad, the quality difference between those two books is, in my eyes, astounding. Like, I have learned so much, I have worked so hard, and the fact that I take myself seriously means that I take my work seriously. It means that it's going to be higher quality and higher level content. So that is how AuthorTube has helped me and has kind of like changed who I am as a writer and as an author. Let's see. This is an amazing name. Veronica Bezgroli. Question for the Q&A. Do you think it's possible to have a regular job and at the same time be a writer? 100%. I'd say that most people have regular 9-to-5 jobs and are writers. I just don't fit well in the regular 9-to-5, so that's why I have a pet sitting business, and I'm an editor, and I am my own boss. But there are so many people, even here on AuthorTube, who have full-time jobs and are writers as well. So that, don't let that hold you back. Heather Mattern says, I'd love to know what your process is immediately after completing the first draft of a novel. How long do you let it sit? And what's your first step once you pick it back up? So when I finish the very first draft of a novel, typically I will make a book cover for it, like a random cover. Let's see. So for example, was this the first draft? I can't remember. This may have been the first draft of Pistol Daisy. So what I do when I finish a first draft, just to celebrate and give myself a gift, I will make my own cover. This is not the final cover. This is not the final cover. I feel like I have to say that because people often forget when I show this. So I'll make my own cover. I will order myself a proof copy of the book, and that's kind of a gift. Like, okay, I finished the first draft, which I think is the very hardest part, and then I get to hold it in my hands. And how long I let it sit, a lot of people will say, let it sit for a month, let it sit for 3 months. But honestly, that will destroy my writing process if I am letting a draft sit for 3 months. I'd say at most a month, like at most. Usually I will make the cover, order the proof, and then when I get it, I'll start reading. And that to me is, you know, and I even used to say, like, let it sit, let it sit, let it sit. And I know that there can be benefits to it, but with where I am right now in terms of writing a series, I can't let it sit for too long because I will forget all of the little intricacies and complexities that I'm writing into my stories. So for example, Whiskey City is supposed to be here tomorrow on Thursday, and I will probably start reading it this weekend. So I don't let it sit very long. I used to say, let it sit for at least a month, but now if I let it sit for a week or two, that's good enough for me. But it's gonna be different for everybody. Yeah, that's just what I do. And then what is your first step once you pick it back up? I do a read through on the physical copy. So I'll read through the entire book with my red pen and just make edits everywhere. And then depending on how messy it is, I'll either edit it or I will almost have to completely rewrite it. With Whiskey City, I rewrote about 70% probably of that book, and I only kept about 15,000 words, so that needed almost an entire overhaul and rewrite. But some books, like Pistol Daisy, didn't need to be completely rewritten all at once. I just needed to rewrite scenes, rewrite chapters, you know, add stuff, take stuff out. So that was like a typical edit. But my first step would be to get the proof copy and read through it in like hard copy form, because it's completely different, I think, than reading it on a screen. All right, Adele Marie. She says, congrats on 10K. Question, what are your long-term writing goals? Long-term writing goals are to, such a good question. I want to be making more money off of my books. I don't make hardly anything off of my books right now. I could not even buy groceries. Like, I don't make hardly anything off of my books. So long-term writing goals, definitely to be making a more sustainable income on my writing. It doesn't need to be my full income. You know, I love editing and YouTube, and I like doing different things. It's just within my personality. So certainly make more money, write a lot more stories, but it's not all about money. Like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm only writing books for money, because that's not the truth at all. I write stories because I love exploring different worlds. I like taking myself out of my reality and placing myself, for example, in 1880 and getting to, you know, drink whiskey at an old saloon with Daisy. Like, that is why I write. But in terms of being like a publishing author, definitely making a more sustainable income. You know, I want to finish a series. That would be a long-term writing goal. This is my first series that I'm writing, and I want to finish it, see it through to completion, because I think it's much more difficult than most people realize. And then I guess I'll also say I want to expand Enchanted Ink publishing. I know that that's not exactly a writing goal, but it is a publishing goal and a business goal. It would be amazing, you know, like I said earlier, to hire on some other people, a cover designer. You know, I want to start publishing people. So I'd say that those are some of my long-term goals. So thank you for that question, Adele. Logan reads, question, what is the recipe for your soup? I love that soup. I actually just finished eating that soup. It's pretty simple because I just throw a bunch of vegetables into a pot with vegetable stock or just plain water. And then I put a dash of soy sauce, and I have like ramen packets that I buy at my grocery store. So I just pop the seasoning in there with the ramen packet, dice up some tofu, marinate it in some soy sauce, pop it in the toaster oven, and that's the recipe. Did I may have actually, I think I made that soup for my 5K Q&A. If I did, I'm pretty sure I did. I did like a Cook with Natalia episode, and I will put it up here because I'm pretty sure I made that soup. Okay, let's see. Some more questions about the van build, which I already talked about. Oh, this is a really good one from Buggy. So in a perfect world, you know, money, space, resources not being an issue, how many pets would you have? In a perfect world, with all of the resources I need, with all the money and the space that I need, I would have a massive sanctuary. If you guys didn't know, you probably do, because I talk about it all the time because I'm so passionate. I am a vegan, and it is a lifelong dream to open a sanctuary where I can rescue all kinds of abused, neglected animals, from dogs and cats to cows, pigs, sheep, horses, turkeys, chickens, like everything. So in a perfect world where I had everything I need and I could have as many pets as I wanted, I would have a massive sanctuary. I would have a lot of volunteers to help me with the animals every single day. And I would offer refuge to as many animals as I possibly could. And that's actually something that I hope to do in the future. You know, I did mention that I want to buy property, you know, a big rural property. That's like one of the long-term goals, but also being realistic. I know that I don't have the money for that now. I could not offer animals the veterinary care that they would need with the very tiny income I make. So that's like on the list of life goals for the future, but it's not happening yet. So thank you for that question. I really appreciated it. Scrolling. Okay, so Jacob's Book Corner says, or asks, how many books do you plan on being in Pistol Daisy? And how do you keep interested in the same story for so long? So I was originally saying 6 books, but I have not planned out the whole series. I was kind of aiming for 6. I would like it to be a long series, but I would be happy with 4 books, 5 books, 6 books. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for, is between 4 and 6 books for the series. But like I said, I do not have it all plotted out. This is my first series that I'm writing, so I'm kind of having to learn how I work as a plotter and as an outliner in terms of a larger overarching story. So between 4 to 6 books. And then how do you keep interested in the same story for so long? I lose interest. Like, I will always lose interest in a story, but for me, it's about pushing through that, because if I was always looking for inspiration and I was always looking for like the writing muses to be singing in my ears and inspiring me to sit down and work, I never would, because it's very rare that I feel inspired. Even when I'm excited to write a scene, usually I'm not inspired to write it. So staying interested in a story for me usually means that I need to be aware that I will lose interest at some point, but then also rekindling that interest through, you know, for me, like video games. Pistol Daisy was very much inspired by my love of the Red Dead franchise. So playing Red Dead, you know, online is something that I'll do, or I'll listen to my soundtrack, or I will look at pictures on my Pinterest board and just try to get excited about it in that way. And then also, when I finish a first draft, that's when my excitement kind of rekindles, because writing the first draft and outlining the book are probably the very hardest parts in the process for me. Like, learning what the story is so difficult for me that once I get through that and I can start editing, my interest in it really comes back. But like I said, this is the first series I'm writing, so I'm sure I will struggle with staying interested in it. I'm sure I will. This next question is funny. Let me take a sip of tea first. My Bookish Addiction says, I noticed that your Harry Potter box set, which is right here, only has 6 books. Where is the 7th? I accidentally donated it to Goodwill. All right, so I accidentally donated book 2 of the Harry Potter series to Goodwill. I am shocked that you noticed that. You are very perceptive, my friend, but that's where it's at. It ended up at Goodwill. So my plan is to go back to Goodwill. They always have Harry Potter books. So I'd like to go back to Goodwill, find a like decent quality book 2, and put it back in my box set. I love giving things away. It's like a hobby of mine, so I accidentally did that. All right, so Peggy Spencer has some fun questions. The first one is, what's the best tip you have for chasing your dreams? And I would say You know, whether you want to be like, whatever your dreams are, I would say that believing in yourself is the first step. Because I wanted to be an author for so long. Like, I was like, oh my God, I want to publish books and share my stories and yada yada. But it was really hard to stay focused on that when I didn't believe I could do it. So again, by joining AuthorTube and finding like the confidence in myself to say, I am an author, I am publishing books, this is what I do, I was able to like chase my dreams full force because I wasn't holding myself back anymore. And there will always be other people in your life, always, who try to hold you back from pursuing the things that you're most passionate about. But I think that if you believe in yourself and you are your own foundation, then nobody can shake that. So that would be my tip, you know, for chasing any kind of dream. And then the next question is, where is the first place that you and Greg are going to go in your van? Well, let's say like outside of Colorado, because here in Colorado, we want to take our van and the cats to some hot springs. We love to go to hot springs and just like take a weekend to relax and soak the stress away. But outside of Colorado, I would say Oregon. I have never been to Oregon and I would love to go. I love rain. I love gloomy weather. I love all of that. So I want to go there so badly. I want to see the forests. I just want to see the greenery. Like, I have never been up there. I've been to California, but I have never been north of California. So that is probably the first place that we will go in the van. And then why are Tifa and Mew so damn cute? I don't know, but they really are. And I would go bother them and like bring them over to show you, but Mew is sleeping in her little box right now. And Tifa is out in the living room on his cat post. So I won't bother them, but I love them so much. They're so cute. All right, Abigail Grace asks, do you have any tips on how to keep writing when you just want to stop? Or in my case, go back to the beginning and start again. So when I want to stop, I almost always want to stop. Like, writing is hard. Writing books is hard. And I usually don't want to do it. Like, I know that deep down, I want to tell these stories. I want to publish them and share them with the world. And I love it. Like, deep down, I love it. But on the surface, it sucks. Like, writing a book is so freaking hard. So I often want to stop and not do it and just watch Netflix or play Stardew Valley, which is like the new thing that I'm into again. But I have to push through. So again, going back to that thing, you know, about like believing in yourself, being your own foundation to chase your dreams, I have to come back to that and know, like, I have to hold myself accountable. I have to be responsible for myself, and I have to come back to my story even when I don't want to. You know, if I don't feel like sitting down, I still have to sit down. I still have to work through it. And I think that's just learning how to be, what's the word? I don't know what word I'm looking for, but essentially just you have to learn to be committed to your project, even if nobody else is going to hold you accountable. Personally, I've never needed to I've never really wanted to just go back to the beginning and start again. But I would say if that's like you wanting to change things in the story and do a full edit, then that's a little bit different, because if you already know that you are going to make massive changes in the novel, then maybe going back to the beginning is a good choice, because you don't want to, you know, finish it and then say, oh wait, none of this, you know, all this needs to be edited anyway. But that's a whole other video topic. But in terms of like staying committed, even when you don't want to write, it comes back to you. Like, it really comes back to you and being able to dedicate yourself and commit yourself to that project and finishing it. The next question from Malia Dancer is, how do you come up with your titles? I love them. Thank you so much. Usually what I do is I will take a story after I have written it, and I will come up with all these words that could potentially have something to do with that book or with that series. So for Song of the Dryad, like magic, fairy, forest, song, dryad, violin, Colorado, small town. Like, I will just make a list of all these terms that have something to do with that story, and then I start putting them together like puzzle pieces. You know, maybe I'll come up with a list of like 10, run them by some people, see which ones they like best. Titles are very difficult, but I think when you hit the right one, you'll know it. Or at least that's what I have felt. All right, Martin also asked about the van, and I already answered that question. All right, let's see. Oh, this is such a fancy name. Agnieszka G, and there's a picture of a ragdoll cat that looks so much like me. It's adorable. Okay, so first question, let's see. What interesting books have you read this year? Not very many. I read The Stolen Kingdom by Bethany Atazadeh, really enjoyed it. I've been able to read some amazing books by my clients this year. Really enjoyed those. That's like one of the awesome things about being an editor, is that I get to read stories and I don't get to enjoy them in the way that a reader does because I have to read very slowly, very tediously. So that's a little bit different. But I have read some amazing books by my clients, and then I also just started A Court of Thorns and Roses. Actually, no, I finished A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm about to start reading A Court of Mist and Fury, and I'm really enjoying those books too. But then I guess I would also say Save the Cat, like in terms of a craft book. But I have kind of been in a multi-year long reading slump, and I'm slowly trying to work my way out of it, but it is very difficult. Question 2, are you going to shoot some videos about tips and tricks related to writing? Probably not. They said, I found your channel a year ago. I would love to hear how you approach writing, for example, fight scenes, kissing scenes, etc., and how it has changed since you started writing. So I did start my YouTube channel kind of based around writing tips, how to write, how I do it, etc. And I have found that those are way more difficult for me to film than just sitting down and like chatting with you guys and just being me sitting here talking, because I can certainly give you tips and tricks. Like, you know, YouTube is full of tips and tricks for all these different things. But I have personally found that reading and writing are the best way to learn. So if you want to learn how to write a really good kissing scene, read some romance. Like, reread some of your favorite, like, swoon-worthy kissing scenes and then practice. Write one, go back, compare, rewrite it. That, I think, is the best way to learn, because I could sit here all day and tell you, here's how you do it. But at the end of the day, you're going to sit down and be like, you know, that doesn't work for me. That's not how I write. So I think in terms of tips and tricks for writing, I don't currently have a plan to go back to making that type of content, just because I feel like everybody has to learn at their own pace. Everybody has to write 10 drafts of one book, you know, to figure out how to tell a story. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Okay, those are all the questions from YouTube. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Instagram questions. Now we're on to Instagram. So Dolores Medill says, what program do you use to edit your videos? I use iMovie. It just came preloaded on Greg's Mac. Gracie030 says, how do you get inspired to write your books? So I don't stay inspired, like I've said, but each of my books has been inspired by something different. Pistol Daisy was inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2. Hands down, my favorite, like, story-driven, mature game that I've played. Oh my god, that game. I will never stop talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. Camille says, is the cover of Pistol Daisy close to being reveal-worthy? I can't wait. So it's 100% reveal-worthy. The covers of Pistol Daisy and Whiskey City are freaking gorgeous. I am so happy with them, but I don't know when I'm revealing them. And believe me, like, especially watching Bethany's release of Stolen Kingdom and the Ginny Key, it's like, I am like itching to just reveal everything and publish everything, but I'm trying to be patient because I know that I want to try to do a semi-fast release. So I'm not sure when I'm gonna reveal anything. I'm sorry. I want to so badly. Like, believe me, I want to show you guys the cover because I'm so happy with the covers that I got for these books. But at least I revealed the title of Whiskey City. So there's like a little golden nugget for you. I'm sorry, Camille. Okay, let's see. Alex writes and sings, asks, are you doing a fast release for Pistol Daisy? Just curious. Yep, that is my plan, but I've learned that I cannot write as fast as I thought I could. For this year, 2019, I had planned to write and publish 3 to 4 books. And look at how that went. I published 0 books. So I can't write as fast as I thought I could, but I do think that I'm getting better with every book I write. But yes, I'm going to try to do a semi-fast release for Pistol Daisy, but you know, I don't want to wait like 2 more years to release it if it takes that long to write all 6 books. So I would probably just space them out, you know, between 3 to 6 months apart from each other. But yes, I would like to do some sort of fast release. Elsie Now Writes asks, have you struggled self-publishing YA as opposed to adult? Do you have any tips? I've only ever published YA. Highborn, Way of Spears, and Song of the Dryad, they're all YA. Song of the Dryad is like YA, like lower YA. And I think YA can do well in self-publishing if you market yourself properly and if you learn how to market and sell your books. I am still learning. So it has absolutely been a struggle. Like I was saying, I don't make hardly any money off of my self-published books. That's just the way it is right now. Of course, I think that once I'm up to like 10 self-published books or 20 self-published books, it'll be different. But I can't really compare self-publishing YA to adult because I haven't self-published any adult. I think Pistol Daisy is certainly new adult, but I don't know yet how I'm going to advertise that properly because it's kind of a in-between age category and it can be a difficult genre to market to people, I think, but it is getting more and more popular, so we'll see how it goes, but I have a lot to learn. AMG Plans asks, have you had stories come to mind that have been put aside to work on Pistol Daisy? Yes, absolutely. I would like to write book 2 in the Song of the Dryad duology, and I almost, like I had a day before NaNoWriMo when I was like, you know, I think I'm going to put Pistol Daisy aside and write the second book in the Song of the Dryad world, but I hadn't plotted it at all. And I have like half of a first draft of book 2, but it doesn't work. So I pretty much have to throw the whole thing out. So I would like to write book 2 of Song of the Dryad. I would like to revisit Fire Tongue and replot and rewrite that and publish it. And then in terms of like other stories I want to write a high fantasy. I want to write a witchy boarding school. There are so many things I want to write, but I really do just need to focus on Pistol Daisy for now and getting some of those books out to you guys. Joshua Reed Writes asks, what was the inspiration for Pistol Daisy? Red Dead Redemption 2, my friend. That game destroyed me in the best way. Who is next? Okay, GC Autor? How much did you delay between finishing your first draft and publishing it? Well, I would never publish a first draft. When I was a new writer, that's something that I would have done because I was just excited, but I would never publish a first draft. Like with Song of the Dryad, I think I was on draft like 6 or 7. Pistol Daisy is on draft 5 right now, so it's not so much delaying publication as it is working through multiple drafts, going through edits, and making the book as best as it can possibly be before I publish it. But yeah, I would never, ever, ever publish a first draft. Sapphire Cloud asks, at what age did you write your first story? So I've been writing stories for a very long time, since I was a kid, but I'll take this to mean, at what age did you finish your first book? And I was a freshman in college, so I was probably 18 or 19 years old when I finished my first story, like fully finished writing my first book. Jackson's Girl Works asks, how do you find inspiration to write? It is very difficult to find inspiration to write. Finding inspiration for a story is one thing, you know, because that can be music or, you know, traveling for some reason. Like when I go traveling, I get so many ideas for stories. Like the whole idea behind Way of Spears was inspired by a dream I had while I was sleeping in a tent while I was camping. So definitely traveling gives me inspiration. The natural world, movies, books, music, I already said that. But in terms of like actually sitting down to write during the day, what inspires me to do that? I don't really feel inspired most of the time to write, but I would say that what pushes me to do that is thinking about my end goal. You know, publishing this book, getting the cover, revealing the cover, thinking about those things help to encourage me when I don't want to write. So if you're struggling to sit down and write, maybe think of a reward. Like, okay, when I finish this first draft, I can buy character art and order a proof copy. And those, like, that will feel amazing to be able to do that, to be able to hold your, I knew my Tamagotchi would go off. I knew it. Like, to be able to hold your book in your hands for the first time, and that can be incredibly inspiring. Bella CXO asks, what is your favorite part of writing a book and publishing it? Drafting, storyboarding, etc. Editing is my favorite part. Outlining is incredibly difficult and very frustrating. Writing the first draft is very difficult for me, except With Pistol Daisy, the first draft of Pistol Daisy, I was done in 2 weeks because I was just so damn excited for some reason. But my favorite part is definitely editing. I love editing. It like makes my soul sing to be able to edit my book, because that's when things start coming together. Like the first draft can be such a mess and so frustrating and make you feel so bad about what you're working on, but in edits, everything changes and everything can be polished and moved and made to look beautiful and sound beautiful. And editing is 100% my favorite part of the process. And also publishing. I love publishing. Oh, I love publishing. This is a good question. Courtney asks, are you still working at the publishing house? No, I'm not. I know I haven't talked about it in videos because I haven't been working there anymore. And I thought it was my dream job. And I was so excited when I got the job there, but it essentially came to the point where it wasn't working for me in terms of like my mental health anymore. I am a very introverted person, incredibly introverted. I am a homebody, I am quiet, I like to be to myself, and this job at the publishing house required, for good reason, you know, it required a lot of one-on-one interaction, you know, calling people all day long, being on the phone with all of my authors, constant email communication. Like I would wake up and have like 40 emails in my inbox, and that was so stressful to me. This feeling of like the work never stopping, because I would take hours to like talk to all my authors and work through all the things that everybody needed and try to make everybody happy. And then I would wake up the next morning and there it was again, like another 40 emails to go through. And there are some people that I know can handle that pressure very well. They can handle phone calls very well. You know, they're fine with that. And I loved getting to work with authors and getting to work with their books. But it just didn't work with my personality. You know, I am such a quiet, introverted person. I hate phone calls. I hate phone calls. And working at the publishing house definitely proved to me that I can push through the fear, because there's like a difference between being scared of them and just really disliking them. I was scared of them. I would get incredibly sweaty. I still get sweaty when I have to take like serious phone calls. Like I'd get sweaty, my heart would race, I would get so fidgety and nervous because I was so scared of those phone calls. And that job really helped me to push through that and to learn that I could be calm on a phone call and I could handle myself well. So definitely, like there were really good things that came from that job and working at the publishing house. But at the end of the day, my mental health was really suffering. I was so stressed out. I was so anxious. And I was just like, you know, even though I thought this was my dream job, it's just not going to work. So I did have to let that job go, unfortunately. But my goal now, moving forward in the new year, like I've kind of mentioned in this video previously, is to expand Enchanted Ink Publishing, because I am so passionate about working with authors to help their books come to life and make them the best that they can be. And I got to do that at the publishing house. I got to work one-on-one with authors. I got to work with cover designers and editors, and I got to work with all these people who are bringing books to life. And like I get little goosebumps even thinking about it now, because I loved that about the process. But with Enchanted Ink Publishing, I can control the amount of work I take on. I can control the authors that I work with. And at my other job at the publishing house, I didn't get to control that. It was just dumped on me. You know, I had no choice. It's like, here's the amount of work you're being given, here are the authors you're being given, and this is what you're gonna do. Again, it makes sense, but it just didn't work for me in my mental health. So keep an eye out on Enchanted Ink Publishing, you guys. If you didn't already know about it, you can visit it at enchantedinkpublishing.com. I also have an Instagram for Enchanted Ink. I am working on a client edit right now that I am loving so much. You know who you are if the author is out there. I'm working on this book and it just makes my heart sing. It is a beautiful story and I cannot wait to give it back to the author because it's so good. It is so good, you guys. But keep an eye on Enchanted Ink Publishing. I want to publish people's books in the future. I don't know what that means right now. There's just so much to figure out, but I want to hire a cover designer. I want to edit more books. I want to publish books and just make it a safe space for people that need an in-between between self-publishing and traditional publishing. Because, you know, there's this whole thing of like vanity presses and they're really frowned upon. And maybe we could like talk about this in a whole video, but I want to be that in-between, because a vanity press is like, they'll do all the work for you. but you have to pay them. And I don't think they should really get a bad reputation for that, because they can produce some really high quality books, but you have to pay, because you're paying your cover designer, you're paying the editor, you're paying the people, you're paying for your ISBN, you're paying the people that are helping you. Like, there's so much that goes into making a book come to life. And I want to be that go-between for people that need that. So long story short, I'm no longer working at the publishing house, but I got a lot out of the experience and I'm very grateful for it. It just didn't work for who I am. All right, last question comes from JB Musman. How scary was it publishing your first book? Did you have to overcome imposter syndrome? So in terms of my very first book, Highborn, I wouldn't say it was scary necessarily, because it was so exciting. And I think publishing every single book is so exciting, but it wasn't scary because I didn't have an audience. Like there weren't really people that were going to read it or review it. I read it, obviously I wrote it, and I gave it to some family members who probably didn't even read it. So it wasn't scary because I wasn't afraid of reviews. And of course that book is out there now, and it is not at the quality that I want it to be at. And I'm also playing with the idea of re-editing those books, because they are much lower quality than what I can do now. So I'm playing with the idea of re-editing Highborn and Way of Spears, and then rebranding and having brand new covers made, which would be absolutely amazing, because if I want to leave those stories up, then I want them to be at the quality where I'm at now, like especially in terms of editing, because I don't want somebody to like read Highborn that I wrote, 6 years ago and think, oh my gosh, this woman is not very good at grammar or whatever. But that was such a long time ago, and I've grown so much and I've taken so many classes that those books don't represent my skill level. They don't represent who I am as a writer or who I am as an editor. So it might be a good business choice, to rebrand and re-edit. But I wasn't afraid to publish, either Highborn or Way of Spears, because again, I didn't really have an audience. But in terms of like imposter syndrome, yeah, I think most people face that, especially because if you're self-publishing, there's that whole idea of there's nobody telling you no and there's no gatekeepers. And I think there are some really cool things about traditional publication, and I do think that one of the benefits of traditional pub, like mentally, is just having somebody tell you, okay, this is good enough. And that doesn't mean that you won't have imposter syndrome. Traditionally published authors have imposter syndrome too, but with self-pub, nobody's standing in the way and saying, wait, red flag, this book isn't ready, so absolutely. I felt some of that, but again, like now that I'm here on YouTube and I believe in myself and I have that like unshakable foundation of confidence, I don't feel imposter syndrome anymore. I know that I am going to continue growing and learning. My skills will continue to develop. And in 5 years, I'll look back on the books I'm writing now and see weaknesses and see things that, I could have done better, but that doesn't mean I'm an imposter. Just because you're learning something doesn't mean you're an imposter at it. It just means you're new, and everybody has to be new at some point. Everybody has to learn. So I don't think that's a good reason to feel imposter syndrome, but I know that it comes around. So again, I would just go back to developing your own confidence, your own foundation, becoming unshakable and untouchable in that way, because as long as you believe in yourself, it does not matter. It does not matter if somebody else thinks you're an imposter or not. Who gives a shit what that random person thinks? If you believe in yourself and you're willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy to be this thing that you really want to be, then that's all you need. And there are your words of wisdom from Natalia Lee on this beautiful Wednesday. All right, my friends, that was all of the questions. Oh my goodness. I am so grateful to everybody who is here, everybody who has supported me on this journey, everybody who sent in a question. I guess a few like housekeeping items. Song of the Dryad, Highborn, and Way of Spears are all 99 cents if you are interested. I have a newsletter, you guys. Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. I have wanted to start a newsletter since October of 2016. That was over 3 years ago, okay? I have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and yet I didn't have a newsletter. Like, who does that? Who? So I have a newsletter now. It would mean so much to me if you chose to sign up for it. I plan to send out like early information via my newsletter. You know, when that cover reveal comes out, newsletter subscribers will be getting it first. You know, I'll send out like coupons and discount codes for editing services, behind the scenes stuff, probably videos, maybe like unlisted videos or sending videos out early. I don't know, but there's going to be so much stuff in my newsletter and I would really appreciate it if you chose to join. I will have it linked down below, but also it's on my website, natalialee.com. You just scroll down and it's under my smiling face. It just says join my newsletter and you can just click that button to sign up. So there's that. Who knows, maybe I'll be sending out the first chapter of Pistol Daisy to my newsletter subscribers once I get a few more, because I have 2 right now. And thank you so much to my 2 newsletter subscribers. I appreciate you guys. And then I am my own newsletter subscriber too. So I'm actually up at 3. A whopping 3 newsletter subscribers. So it would be freaking awesome if you guys want to join me on my newsletter. What else? Books are on sale, newsletter. I am booking out editing services for next year. I have editing booked in January and February right now. So if you are somebody that's interested in having your book edited by me, please send me an email, get in touch. You can visit enchantedinkpublishing.com because I am booking for 2020 now. I even have some dates in fall already booked. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And that's it. Oh, you guys, so I think I'm gonna do another Stardew Valley live stream this Sunday. What's the date? Today's the 11th, 12, 13, 14. So I think that's the 15th. Yeah, so this Sunday the 15th, I'm gonna do another Stardew Valley live stream. I'm gonna fix the audio because it was totally effed up in the last one because I had never, ever done a PS4 live stream before. So I'm gonna play some Stardew Valley. I'll probably be on for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and it's a really fun way to hop on and ask me writing questions, publishing questions, you know, questions about Mew and Tifa or what have you. It's just a fun way to chat. And, you know, we had a few people. I was actually surprised. I had like 20 people at one point that were there just chatting away and watching me, you know, harvest on my little farm. So if you'd like to join in on that goodness, on that wholesome fun, that'll be Sunday, live streaming on my channel, Stardew Valley. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everybody.